bring this meeting of the Judy Non-Civil Full Committee to order. We're going to reconsider Senate Bill 117. If you recall, this is the bill we just heard. This bill. This bill is dealing with the person in position of trust and when they're going to be liable for sexually explicit contact and sexual contact. After the meeting, like any good Judy non-civil meeting, anything worth doing is worth doing twice, right? So we're gonna go through this again. We had a meeting of the minds and found that there was one word. I know it's in lines 42, express agreement, and 82 and 107 as well. The concern is that many of these relationships that we're trying to reach, they don't have an express per se contract or agreement, and having to litigate that point could be overly cumbersome when it comes time to prosecute these actions. So having talked offline, that's the purpose for reconsideration. I'm going to open it up to committee to ask any questions, or if there are any concerns, I'd like you to voice them. And we're going to reconsider this motion. This measure. It's Senate Bill 117 LC 413139S. I'm going to recognize Chairman Setzler.
Mr. Chairman, I'd express my support for express agreement. I do think in conversations after committee, it was raised, everything in a range from express agreement to implied agreement. I was very strongly opposed to implied agreement. I think because of what we're talking about here, this is a relationship that could be subject to what is otherwise consent of a 16 or 17-year-old. In spite of the fact patterns presented in committee, it certainly is available to what would otherwise be consent of 16 and 17-year-olds. The question was, is express agreement defined and how would it be treated by the courts? One might surmise that express agreement, although I think it's the intention, certainly my intention, and perhaps of the committee, that it be an express or that it be an agreement. I think from my vantage point, I did not contemplate a written agreement, and because express is not used in that way elsewhere in the code, it might an expectation might emerge around it that's not intended by this committee. I think there would need to be a defined agreement as opposed to an implied agreement. So to the chair's question, the issue of eliminating express and making it parent, guardian, other person standing in loco parentis of a minor has entered into an agreement. That alone is the agreement we're talking about, whether it's agreement that's for consideration in writing or expressly verbal and recognized, but not one that was implied. But so I'm expressing my concern, Mr. Chairman, but I do understand, and I don't know that express makes it better, other than perhaps making it a higher standard than this committee even intends. So that's kind of my understanding of the discussion leading to this. Is that fair representation, Mr. Chairman?
I think that's fair representation. And again, I thank you for working on this bill. I know you've put many hours in on it. Representative Bodie.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I guess I'm at a place maybe similar to the vice chair, subcommittee chair. We've been, debating this issue now, I think 3, maybe 4 years. 6 years for a while now in this same committee. And I expressed this concern to members of this committee that the reason why we came to this point is because we want to make this narrowly tailored. We did not want to leave a lot of things ambiguous to the process or leave things out there that's hanging. And I think by taking out the word express, I think any judge could look at that now as an express or implied agreement. And apply, if I recall, is something that a slope that we did not want to go down. And I think if we take the word express out of there and we don't define what the agreement is, implied is going to be utilized by the court. And I think that's not what this committee originally wanted when we passed this bill out before. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Bodie. Chairman Reeves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had to get my mind wrapped around this, some of which happened after we had voted on it and adjourned. And I think that the benefit of removing express and just having it agree, because this is the problem, is that what I'm finding myself sitting here doing is I'm trying to imagine every hypothetical scenario that could potentially be impacted by this. And I think that the benefit in taking express out is that it allows whatever the unique and individual circumstances are in any hypothetical that we can come up with and all of the ones that we cannot come up with, it will allow the parties the wiggle room to argue to the judge the nature of the agreement, whether it was express or implied. And then both parties have the opportunity to present context to that. And then ultimately a decision is made as, I guess, as an element on that. And so I think that this actually better allows facts to conform to what we're doing here. And so I kind of did an about face once I thought about it through a little bit different spectrum. And so I am supportive of the amendment.
Thank you, Chairman Reeves. Yeah, I think I hear what you're saying, Bodie. Representative Bodie, excuse me. Again, I'm going to fall back to the fact that we are narrowly tailoring this to education and supervision, and we're trying to capture these arrangements that are not necessarily, a written contract or written agreement of any means or manner. But they're definitely, these children are in the local, they're under the dominion of these folks that we're leaving them with. And I think that's really a key factor in that these kids, we're dropping these children off and their parents whom they trust with people that they think they can trust. And that's the actor we're trying to catch here. And I understand the hesitation, but we can't, I don't know that there is a law up here we've drafted that can meet every fact pattern that's out there that we can create. I go back to law school. Those you can make a fact pattern up any way you want to argue a point that you want. So I appreciate your input. Representative McLaurin.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Understand and appreciate what you're saying about line 43 being a limiting phrase. Would the chair be amenable to doing sort of a belt and suspenders and putting the word both in front of education, just to make that clear?
I don't think that's necessary. It's an and, I mean, those are both elements in my opinion. The way I read it, it would be, it had to be for education and supervision. So
I agree with the chair that the natural reading of and is that, but just like you're speaking about hypos in law school, I think courts could, theoretically look at education supervision and say that those are general topics. So something falling within those topics would be allowable. So if the chair's intention is to make those both discrete elements, I don't know that it would change the meaning, and it would probably capture the chair's intent. Maybe, like I say, belt and suspenders, but that's the only reason I raise it. Thank
you, Chairman Sessler.
Yeah, I think that there's almost, I don't want to get too diagrammatic here, but there's and I don't know that I disagree with the gentleman's assertion. There's the education and supervision, which is how the broad applicability of this. And then there's the
Chairman Sessler. We litigated this thing over and over again, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm prepared to take a motion if anybody will offer it. We had a move, do pass in a second. Any amendments, proposed amendments? Representative McLaurin.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I would move on line 43, add word both right before education. That's the amendment.
We got a motion?
I have a second. Michelle, I was just trying to find out, are we gonna move on your amendment to strike express? Because that's what I'm trying to find out.
Well,
Then we move on to
I'm going to offer an amendment. We got amendment, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
yes, second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the Josh McLaurin amendment of the addition of both signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? No. Sorry.
Four.
1, 2, 3, 4.
He sets those up.
Sessler's up. Okay.
I think it has nothing to hurt it.
You're a no. You're a no.
4-3.
You're a no.
It's 4-3. Yeah.
I got a no for breaking the tie. Thank you. I'm going to offer amendment on lines 42. I want to strike the word express. On lines 82, strike the word express. And line 107, strike the word express.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Sesslers, do we have any more in there? We ain't missing any, are we?
That's all I'll say, Mr. Chair.
Okay. McLaurin, we got any more in there? Express? No, okay. All right. We got a motion and we got a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? No. It's the opinion of the chair that the amendment passes. So we're in a posture of a motion, do pass in a second for Senate Bill 117, LC 413139S. All of those in favor of this measure signify by saying aye. All those opposed? As opinion of the chair, the measure passes. Thank you all for coming again. Thank you for staying around. I'm going to adjourn with that. Thank you.